that we've talked quite a bit about the power of using group work in your teaching, it would be really nice to think about how we would implement some of those strategies, and then what would we measure in order to determine whether our students are actually learning what we want them to learn.
So if you take something like peer instruction, for instance, there's a lot of evidence that the general peer instruction structure works really well to foster student learning. Missouri and others have explored this pretty well. But if you think about implementing peer instruction in your own classroom, there's a ton of questions you can ask about that strategy to kind of refine it and make sure that it fits your particular teaching context. So, what types of questions are you asking? Are they low level on Bloom's taxonomy? Are they higher on Bloom's taxonomy? Do you have students work individually first, or do you jump straight to the pair work, right? That's an interesting question. When do you reveal the correct answer during the process? Even when during class do you ask these questions? Do you do this as an introduction to a topic, or do you use that more for review after you've covered a topic? There's a lot of different interesting little wrinkles and choices that you make as a teacher, and each of those are things we can look at and try to assess in some way.
One of the things that I do, Derek, in my classroom when I teach it in a flipped or blended mode and I'm running problem-solving sessions specifically, I try to socially engineer my groups. And this is something that you can do when you have sort of a more structured group environment rather than the kind of random think, pair, share.
Yeah.
But I would love to do a TAR project where I compare how those groups function when they're socially engineered, so putting together students at different grade levels, at different backgrounds, different majors, gender diversity, and trying to mix those in an intentional way versus letting them self-assemble. That seems like a really great TAR project.
Yeah. So as we continue to move through this course, keep your eye out for questions or choices that you might investigate in your own teaching as you start to think about your own teaching as research project down the road. Next week, we're going to continue looking at different active learning strategies. This week's modules focused a little bit more on kind of the social dynamics and how that plays out and the structure of these activities. Next week, we'll look at inquiry-based labs and problem-based learning. So we'll be focusing a little bit more on the types of challenges and questions that we give students. See you then.